Why do we want more? More pixels means more detail, but for gaming, does that detail make the difference? Or is it more of a performance issue? Because yes, many of us talk about the benefits of 1440p, but then why do professional gamers still stick to 1080p? In this video, I'm going to go back to 1080p to see if there are any disadvantages or even advantages that we haven't considered. I found a deal and I managed to get this Dell Kio from their original website for only $107, when its normal price is around $200. A 24-inch IPS monitor with 165Hz, yes, 165 for only €107. It's not normal, but if you're in the Telegram community that I've created, I will start sending out these kind of deals whenever I see them so you can benefit in the same way I do. It's been a while that I wanted to test a more competitive gaming focused monitor, going back to a lower resolution because I usually use the 1440p, but now it's also a matter of trying those extra hertz to 165 from the 144 where I come from. In fact, if you remember, we recently saw one with 100 Hz for a similar price, and that already seemed like a good choice. But of course there's no point in comparing them because this Dell is an IPS panel and has almost double the refresh rate, without mentioning that the brand has much more recognition. As for the monitor's design, it's practically the same as all the monitors on the market with those borderless frames. It's curious because nowadays both $100 and $50 monitors look exactly the same. This one incorporates an adjustable stand in height and in tilt, with slightly more abundant connections, but not excessive, with those two HDMIs 2.0 and one DisplayPort 1.2. Additionally, a small note for those interested, it's fully compatible with VESA mounts. The monitor looks good. You can easily tell that it's an IPS panel and the color representation is as it should. On paper, it has a 99% sRGB coverage, and being an IPS panel unlike VA, the colors are much more consistent and the response time is much lower. This Dell has a 1 millisecond response time GTG, which means combined with the 165Hz, it's the perfect combination for enthusiast and competitive gamers. I tried to overclock the panel, but I couldn't squeeze out even one extra frame of it. If anyone has better luck than me and has been able, let me know just down below in the comments. Through its menus, we can access the configuration of the response time, also known as the overdrive. Here, I had a hard time seeing a clear difference between those presets, and what I recommend is not using the extreme preset, because even though it updates faster, we have more ghosting. What I really have to say here is that I barely notice the difference between those different presets, where sometimes on other monitors I can tell it easily. With this one, it's only something that I can differentiate through the camera's slow motion recording. And for those who think that 1080p monitor in 2024 might be outdated, in games it even has advantages. We managed to release pressure from the graphics card and now it's able to perform better and send more frames to the CPU, so we can reduce the input lag at the same time, and with those 165Hz we're able to realize and react very quickly, so any skilled player can take advantage of that new milliseconds window. It's really something very focused and niche. For specific players, like the 240Hz monitors, I would personally recommend this for someone very focused on getting better and more competitive in games. And not only that, it's not a bad monitor also for browsing and editing, but for me, I really prefer the bigger visual field provided by 1440p. I find it to be a better tool whenever I'm working in software like Blender, Photoshop or Premiere. In that aspect, going back to 1080p feels like an old technology now that I'm used to work in 1440p. But the fact is that in games I can't even tell the lower pixel count, and instead our computer suffers less and therefore is able to deliver a better performance. We've all seen professionals reducing graphics settings in some games to squeeze as much frames as possible, but luckily, nowadays it's not difficult to get a mid-tier computer to manage this kind of frame rates from most of the games meant to be played like this, and without having to sacrifice much in the graphics settings. And at the end, the 165Hz doesn't make you a better player, it just gives you the opportunity to be better. For those interested in brightness and HDR, it's 350 nits, which is exactly the same as my LG monitors that were 5 times the cost of this one for each. But you know what I found impressive? I really thank Dell for not claiming it's HDR compatible, as my LGs do, because there are a lot of monitors in the market with the same brightness performance that mention that they are HDR compatible, and with this brightness level the HDR experience is going to be almost zero. And I have a completely separated video about that, giving you a lot of details, so I'm not explaining anything else here, but a positive point for Dell for being honest. And about the brightness, one thing that IPS panels suffer from is backlight bleeding. In this case we can see through the camera that it really suffers from it. And now, do I recommend it? Well, it depends. If you're looking for a 24-inch monitor, then yes, without any doubt it's going to be a good choice. But if you're looking for something bigger, then I would say it's better to aim for a 1440p. Because at sizes over 24 inches, pixels get too big and PPI is too low to have good detail. This monitor is ideal as it is in 24 inches. It's mostly aimed towards those looking to be a better competitive player, also enjoying the game on itself, without sacrificing any visual experience. At the same time, if you've always been working in 1080p, you will be able to edit and work on this panel having good colors as it is an IPS panel. I remember buying my first monitor with my first paycheck for 120 euros, and I still have it to this day. It was a 1080p 60Hz and it was my introduction to Full HD gaming. I was shocked to the quantity of new details that I could realize about the games. I'm glad to see that the prices of competitive and quality monitors are becoming so accessible, although when we reviewed the other monitor there were still better deals. I thought those prices came to stay and I was wrong. I wouldn't pay 200 for this monitor right now, and that's what they are asking for. But I think a good price for it is around 150 or less, and that's why I will drop links down below in the description to guide you through the best deals I can find on monitors. Now, do you think it makes sense to go for a 1080p monitor in 2024? Let me know down below in the comment section and see you in the next video. Adios!